Everyone. Thank you for joining us today. For those who are checking out our community for the first time, welcome to what we do. We usually have experts joining us for various sessions from time to time. And today we are glad to be hosting Joseph Mbuku from Safaricom. He'll be sharing with us about M-PESA APIs. Remember, you can always support our community to grow by sharing with your friends, subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sometimes giving us direct feedback from what we do. So just as a summary for some of the things we are going to look at today, depending on the time that we'll have, we are going to be very practical, and Joseph is well versed with that. So we'll have an overview of the Daraja portal, some of the basics to do with the sandbox, and maybe a little bit of an overview about the till or pay bill, so when to choose what. Then matters security as well, callbacks when we are handling errors on production, some of the common pitfalls that the developers face when they are moving to production. We'll also have an overview with regard to compliance, then a few test cases where possible. We know M-PESA is a thing, especially in Kenya. If you are doing any business, transacting, or whatever kind of thing you're involved in when it comes to financial transactions, M-PESA is such an important factor. So if you integrate the APIs, you'll be able to either receive automatic payments or be able to integrate in whatever kind of system you're working on. So I'll welcome Joseph, who will guide us on how to move from Sandbox on the Daraja portal to the live environment. So Joseph, welcome. If you have any presentation, you can share with us. I think when I was starting the session, I saw something like a presentation. So the platform is yours, Joseph. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Douglas. So, yeah, honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me again. Yeah, so I think previously we had a look through the sandbox environment on Daraja. So, and a couple of questions that came up were on, so let me share my screen. Okay. Right. So basically, for maybe those who are joining us for the first time, I think to be able to integrate with the M-PESA APIs as a dev, you first need to come and look for this platform called Daraja. So once you come to Daraja, you should be able to create an account if you don't have one, but if you already have one, you can just log in. So I'll just log in with, I think, sorry. I don't know why it doesn't remember my, okay. Okay, so let me just log in. Yeah, so just a minute. Sorry. So now once you log in, so I'm just going back for the sake of maybe those who are starting with us today, but I'll just be, it shouldn't be very long. So the very first step is creating an application. So creating this app is like creating an instance of the application that you'll be using, or rather like for a particular client or customer or a particular site. So let's say you have like two e-commerce sites, one maybe for selling phones and the other one for selling maybe different things, maybe clothes. So if you want, you can create two different apps for each of them. And then the purpose of creating the app, basically you can be able to select a couple of items. So these are some of the things we went through from the previous video. So like, let's say when you're creating this app, you only want to be receiving Lipa na M-PESA, right? From the Sandbox. So this is on the Sandbox environment, or yeah, basically the test environment. So for this particular app, maybe you just want only Lipa na M-PESA, that is buy goods and pay bill. Uh, and you're not interested with the rest. But now you have another application that maybe you want to include something like M-PESA Ratiba or Bill Manager, which I think we actually talked about the other time. Yeah, so that's the purpose of creating an app. So once you create an app, those are the only functionalities that you can be able to do within that application. So like, for example, if you create one with only Lipa na M-PESA, and you try to integrate the M-PESA Ratiba API, it might not work. Okay, so you have to, when you're creating the app, you just check the items that you need, right? So once you do that, so like, for example, you can actually also come and just see, let's say you've already created the app, when you click and like you want to edit, you can see for us, I think the previous time we added all of them. So for us, we have all the API products already added to the app. So let me see, this one had, yeah. So like you see now for this second one, Bill Manager, B2B, Express Checkout, and M-PESA Ratiba weren't selected, okay? So you can always add them later, pretty much, okay? So yeah, so that's it. So in my case, we already did this. I think you can now, once you create the app, you can now get the consumer key and the consumer secret. And I don't have a shortcode yet, right? So now if I had maybe a testing shortcode, I would put it here. So in production, it's just the same thing, okay? So you see now my entire activity is just in Sandbox. So when you go live, once you already go live, you'll have practically the same setup, but now with the live credentials, okay? Yeah, so which we'll just get into in the next few minutes. So now, some of the APIs that we went through. The very first API call that you do is the authorization API. So basically, all these API are protected. So you have to authenticate the API before you proceed. So you can get the Postman collection link here and open all the APIs in Postman, like I've already done. So once you do that, it will come with all the APIs. So let me just share my Postman. Hopefully it's visible. So I've already copied that link. As you can see, it's asking me to import the collection. So I will just imported it. So here it is, Safaricom's API copy. Yeah, so as you can see, it has come with it has come with now, so the one that we had last time, it was a bit updated. So you can see this one has also the M-PESA Ratiba and all the access tokens and everything you need. So if you can see my screen, so the very first API is the authorization API, which you can see here. So the very first step is you have to authorize. So now you see now this username and password. So this is what you get from Daraja. So from the app that you created. So when I come under my apps, yeah. So when I come under my apps, you can see the consumer key and the consumer secret, right? So so these are for Sandbox. You can copy the consumer key is the username and the consumer secret is the password. So once I copy this and I just go to my Postman. Copy like that. And then also copy this. Yeah. So now we are ready to send this authorization API. So let me just click send. So our API sent successfully. So we can just look at one simple example like querying an account balance. So basically we went through each of these the previous time. So I think the most common one is is it the C2B one? Check the body. Yeah. Yeah, I think so we have this, so we can just have a look. Sorry. So we can just go through it. So basically, the very first step is the authorization. So once you get the API key, the rest you'll be authorizing them using it's called what? Bearer token. Okay. So I don't know if we really need to go through this again. But basically, all these APIs are already self-explanatory, like on the dynamic QR code. So this one I had mentioned and given an example. I think I've majorly only seen it in Naivas, where once you pay, there's a once all your goods are scanned, you can see a QR code that you can just scan using your M-PESA app. And then once you scan it, it will just pick up the details and you can be able to finalize the transaction. Okay, so we have the sample request body. So when you're integrating this on your application, you can use this to generate the QR code. So once you get the QR code, for the users making the payment, they'll just scan and then it will just pick up it's called what? It will pick up maybe the merchant, which is a supermarket, maybe the amount that the person needs to pay, and it will automatically just skip the step of asking the user to enter the pay bill and the account number. Yeah. So that is on the dynamic QR code. So so I think just move on swiftly here. We so basically that's it. I think feel free to just go through the previous video we had, and you should be able to see the explanation of each of these APIs and how we integrated them. So I think the main purpose for today, I think, was on going live. So that's where I wanted to start from. So as you can see, when you want to go live, let's say now you've already gone through the sandbox environment, you've already interacted with APIs, and as you can see, we can have access to all the APIs you can actually test it on your Postman, right? So if you're just a front-end dev, you can just basically pick the APIs as they are, or even the backend devs. So basically, and integrate to your application. So I think we went through that last time. So now, so let's say now you're going live. There's this tab up here on Daraja called Go Live. So as you can see, when we want to go live, there are a couple of things that are needed. First of all, a prerequisite is having a shortcode. Okay, so you need to have a shortcode. So for us, a shortcode is actually the store number, head office pay bill, or the B2C number. Okay, the till number, that is. So so if you don't have one, you need to apply for it. So let me show you how to apply for it. So if you want to apply for a till number or a pay bill number, you come and search for M-PESA for business.co.ke. Okay. So once you do that, you come and click on apply now. Just technically that. So, and you can see here it's asking us, do you want an M-PESA business till, that is a buy goods till, or a short-term pay bill? Okay. So I think for most of us who have used M-PESA till number to pay, you know how it works. So it will enable you. So your money will be coming directly to your till number. Okay. So even these API integrations that we are doing here, like let's say, for example, the Express one. Let me look for it. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, just this one. Simulate. So let's say now you're doing this for yourself or for your organization. So let me select the sample test app that we had. So this is actually the SDK push. So when you want to integrate the SDK push, you use this M-PESA Express simulate, M-PESA Express. Okay. So basically, what happens is, let me show you the body in Postman. So this is how the body looks like. Okay. So here is where you'll put in your business shortcode. Okay. So the one that we are trying to actually, I'm actually trying to show you when you're going live to apply for one if you don't have one. Okay. So this is on your API. This is where you'll write the sample shortcode. So let's say your till number is 34567. All right. So your M-PESA password, basically. So these are on your end. So when you apply for the shortcode, you'll get a business administrator username and an M-PESA password. Okay, the one that you'll use also to get to the M-PESA business portal to see all the transactions that are coming to your shortcode and all that. So for the sake of maybe a person trying to integrate that to APIs, so this is where you put in your shortcode, password, and then now for us, it's transaction type is customer pay bill online. So that is a person paying using the pay bill option. So for the till number, I'll also show you. Then the amount will pick here dynamically, depending with what the user is trying to buy and how much it is. Party A is the phone number. Party B is, I think, the receiving party, which is your shortcode. Then the phone number of the user, then a callback URL, which will also go through some of the callback IPs that you're expecting a callback from in production. Yeah, and then the account reference. So when you come to the simulator, as you can see here, you can be able to simulate that, and you can actually, once you put in your phone number here, you'll see the SIM toolkit, the SDK pop-up asking you to deduct 1 shilling, right? And then the money will go to this business shortcode, which is a test shortcode. Okay, so remember party B is your receiving shortcode. So that will be for your organization. Okay, so we are trying to think of it as now going live. So when you're going live, remember here you'll just automatically put in your shortcode, maybe the account reference, the description of the payment. So that is maybe the account number. Yeah, so technically that's it. All right. So we can go back to now applying for the shortcode. So once you get the shortcode, I think the rest are very self-explanatory, and actually for the business side of it, where you can, once you get your till number, you can be able to buy goods to another till. You can actually also integrate this for a business. Remember, we went through this last time. So let me just be going back. So you can see there's a B2B express checkout. So where you can a shortcode can pay to another shortcode. Okay, so you see, SSD push to till. So since you already have a till, it's called what? Your shortcode, you can be able to actually pay from it. So, and you can actually integrate it for a business that wants to be doing transactions from their till number. So basically, it's actually possible. You can do that for individuals from their phone number, and also do it from the shortcode bit. Okay. So I think we went through this. Maybe Douglas will share the link to the previous video where we actually went in depth through each of them and how to do that. All right. So now when you're going live, so basically that's it. So remember, some of the key takeaways is actually just go M-PESA to business, click on apply now, then select whether you want a pay bill or a till number. Okay. So let's say you want a till. So click on till, click to individual. Oh, okay. So let me just be explaining right now. So so individual money will be settled to honor the M-PESA. Like you can remove money from the till number to your own M-PESA, individual to your own to maybe a bank account that you've set up with the till. Okay. So for now, I'll just select on individual till. So you can see collect payments from other business and customers on the till. Basically, all these are self-explanatory. I can see the charges. Okay, so just click on apply now. Then I don't know if we need to go through this right now. But yeah, you can just put in your first name, your middle name, last name, phone number, the business category. So basically the business that you're trying to create a shortcut for, what is it about? The business description, the county, region, and that's it. Where would you like to receive funds collected? On your M-PESA, okay? And then you put in the phone number of where you want to receive the money, right? So technically that's it. So you just put in, so you can see on this application form, then you'll submit the documents associated with the business and yourself. And then a summary basically is what you've just been writing, and then apply. So with that, you will get an email confirmation now with the M-PESA username and password directly to your right. Yeah, so you can be able to get so let me just try to put in my details so at least you can see a sample of what we are kind of expecting. What you're kind of expecting. Maybe some of us here have never applied for a till number. Okay, so let me just use this opportunity to do that. Uh, I'm just gonna use some dummy details here. Yes. So let's say we are trying to start a what kind of business? Let's say what is related to what we are doing. Yeah, we can just use professional services. Maybe let's say IT consultancy. So this is just, we won't finish this process. I just want to be able to get past this section so that I can be able to maybe for somebody who has never applied for a till number can be able to get a view of what is needed. Okay. Physical address. Guess I'll just write Nairobi. Right. And then a phone number here. So it's very simple to apply for a till, and it's actually very fast, right? So so this is the step now saying like we won't have to go here, but I just wanted to get past the first section so that I can show you some of the documents you need for yourself. So in our case, we will just apply. When you're applying, you can just say our national ID, and then you'll upload the front part and the back part. This is just a proof that it's yourself that you're actually applying for the till. Okay, so I won't do this now. And technically, that's it pretty much. Okay, so the application is a self sign up or a salesperson's referral, like somebody can be applying on your behalf. So I hope that's clear, right? So once you get that, the business short code sent to you on your email, so that's what you can now come and use to go live. And those are the details you'll actually put in here, okay? So the short code, you'll just come and select short code, then the organization short code. So once you finish applying, whatever details you'll have received, it's what you'll fill in here, okay? So for somebody who might be wondering what details, what is this organization short code, what is the organization name, what is the M-PESA username, all this will be sent after you're done with this application, okay? So for those who don't have, and I'm sure for those who already have till numbers, you already have this information. Okay, so just come and put in those details here. So I do not have one, but anyway, so once you do that, you'll receive a one-time pin. Select at least and then you select one of the API products you want. So basically, once you go live, you'll just come to this sort of section where you'll just now on your tabs here, you can be able to see both the sandbox and the live and the production environment. Okay, so you can be able to switch interactively, and then now you can be able to basically go through what all that we had done on the sandbox. Basically, now you'll just be doing it in production. You'll be able to get the actual endpoints. You see now, when I click on authorization here in Sandbox, on my Sandbox, you can see this IP address. So the production one will be different. So that's basically what you'll replace your base URL from Sandbox to the production ones. Okay. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much it on going live. It's just basically what we did on Sandbox, and then now apply for the shortcode. Once you apply for the shortcode, you'll be able to fill in these details. Yeah, so and I think we've gone through this. Yeah, so I think we've gone through that. So I don't know if you want me to finish this process. Just to see the email, but it won't be as soon. So okay, it will be fast, but I think just feel free to go through it. I think in case of any issues, you can just reply on the video and we'll be able to support. Yeah, so let me just now go to some of the questions that you had asked, so that we can be able to see how to support on the same. Okay, let me go to first of all the structure that we had, and okay, so let me share this so that we can be able to go through it together. So I can just be able to answer as we go. So I don't know if there are questions yet about going live, because it's really not the. All right. Yeah.
Joseph, there are, if I may interject, yeah, there are some questions on the chat box, and also the people who are the current audience. You can type your question in the live chat box on the stream. Joseph will be able to pick them up. You can proceed.
Okay. So there's some few things I had not mentioned. So I think we've been able to go through these steps of going live here. So we've on the previous video we were able to test the APIs on the sandbox, and then and we're able to go through each of the APIs and of the API endpoints, and we're able to test them on Sandbox. So so basically going live, I think I've already mentioned it. You have to be issued with an M-PESA account. So basically the pay bill until number, and I think I've already mentioned how to apply for one. We will finish this process maybe towards the end of the video and just maybe apply for a short code. Okay. Yeah, so this is the portal. So once you get the shortcode, you can actually come to the M-PESA business portal, where you can be able to just put in your shortcode, your username. So remember, the username is the business administrator username that you'll have set up on your portal. Put in your password that was sent, and then your verification code. Once you log in, you can be able to see all the transactions under your shortcode, right? So yeah, so That's it on the same. So we're just going through a checklist here for going live, right? So remember, you also have access to the M-PESA portal, which is just what I've already shown, which is this. This is the M-PESA portal. And I've already created, and through there, actually on the M-PESA portal, you can also create an admin or the business manager. So that will be the username that you'll be using here, the username here, okay? Or rather, you can use it even to check for your username and apply it here in case you don't know your M-PESA username, right? So once you do that, we are ready to go live. I think we've already gone through the going live. Okay. Also, remember, so there's this actual section here. If you don't have an admin, then you can reach out to M-PESA Business at safaricom.co.ke and then ask them to just create for you an admin role on their end. Yeah, can see M-PESA Business at safaricom.co.ke, where you can be able to actually request for an M-PESA username in case you already have an account right now and you don't have an admin. But remember, you can also create the admin from the portal, because you can see those are the prerequisites of going live. You need the shortcode, you need the organization name, which is actually the name of your company, and the M-PESA username. So remember, so this username, if you already have a till number or a shortcode without the admin username right now, you can just contact this email address, which is mpesabusiness@safaricom.co.ke. Otherwise, when you're creating, you can come create it for yourself, or rather, yeah, from the portal. Okay. So other than that, I think I've seen a couple of concerns or questions about the callbacks. So for notification of payments, our our gateway communicates through callback to either the registered URL. Okay, so let's say, for example, you've already integrated your C2B payment, for example. So you want to be able to receive a notification that this user has already made a payment. You can remember when you're doing the integration. Let me just show you on Postman. You can see here, you can register a callback URL. Where do you want to be receiving the notifications that a customer has already paid or something? So it allows for that. So let me go back to going live. So as you can see, once you put in the callback there, on the request body, yeah, which I've just shown you, you put the callback. The APs you should expect to receive a callback from are as below, and partners are advised to at least and accept callback from these IPs. So remember, when you're in production, your server or rather your system should be able to accept traffic through either of these IP addresses. Okay. So this is where you expect, these are some of the IPs in production that you're expecting to see a callback. Okay. So for the partners, which is all of us devs, trying to integrate. Okay. So whitelisting will ensure that you receive and process the API notifications that are from the Safaricom's API gateway. I think that answers the question of maybe some of the IP addresses that where are you getting the callback from? So here they are. So on daraja, just come under docs. Then when you come under docs, go to going live. So once you come here under going live, you can be able to just basically see all the IP addresses that I've just mentioned. All right. Yeah. So I don't know if this finished loading. Let me open it. Sorry. So Douglas had shared a very good breakdown of um, some of the topics we can go through, and that's basically what I wanted to open. So I just wanted us to have that first, at least have an overview of what we are looking into, and then we can go through this. Oh gosh.
as Joseph is checking out the topics, the live chat box is still on. There are a few questions. If you had also submitted your question on the shared link that we did before for the survey, he'll also be able to respond to that. So you can be patient. Joseph, when you're ready, you can pick it up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. So I think from some of the subtopics we were to go through today, I think the very first thing is a difference between the sandbox and production environment. So sandbox environment is basically a testing environment where you can be able to simulate all the APIs. Can you see my screen, Douglas?
Yes, Joseph. It's very visible. You are
Okay.
seeing the breakdown of the
Of the
topics.
questions. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, so remember, as I'd mentioned, the sandbox environment is a test environment, okay? So, like for example, when you come here under daraja and you put in your, see, let me show you. And you come under APIs, let's say, come here to simulate. So these simulations, this money will it will actually go to a test pay bill account or a test short code, which is not, this money you won't be able to receive it. Okay. So let's say you use this API endpoints in an actual production environment. So this money, like for example, and users pay to using the sandbox environment, the money won't be able to reach your actual shortcode that you've just created. Okay. So because it's a test environment and it's in a different, it's like it's called what? Like an isolated space where the money won't be able to reach you. But in production, in production now is actually where when you put your actual shortcode, like for example, in this simulation of the STK push, when you put your actual shortcode here and you actually change to the production endpoints, the money will be actually deducted from this person's phone number to your own shortcode, and the money will be received on your till number. Okay, so that's basically the difference between sandbox. So sandbox is a test environment, then production is the live environment. Okay, so so what's available in the sandbox versus what is real in production. So the good thing is, maybe if I can mention, all these APIs that you're currently seeing on sandbox are also available in production. Okay, they're actually all the same. So there's none that actually is existing in Sandbox and not in production. The purpose of it being on Sandbox is to be able for you to be able to test out, or rather, if you already have a test environment, you can be able to just test how the APIs look like, especially during development. You don't want like when you're developing your system and you're trying to test out payment and money is actually being deducted to go to your shortcode or something. Okay, so you might use the test environment to actually just see a sample response. Like for example, if I send this API, how am I expecting the response to look like? Okay, so if I want to query that, you see, so like for example, this is, this is the request body, this is the sample response. Okay, so you might want to test out. So this is actually how the results will come immediately. The person has already made the payment successfully. You'll get this, you'll get the amount they've paid, you'll get their transaction code, the date, and the phone number. So maybe during development, you've already integrated, and so you want to just test out everything is okay. You can use the sandbox environment. Then if all is well, you can just move your system to live by updating the base URL. Okay. So once, remember, you can see here under my apps, let me just go back. You can see here under my apps, you can see the shortcode here is nil. Okay. because my test, or rather my sandbox environment, I'm using the Safaricom provided till number, okay, which is this. When you come under simulate, you'll be able to view it. So let me select one of the apps. So you can see here, the money will go here. So, and so anytime when you're creating these apps, it's already configured with a shortcode, okay? So I think there are maybe devs here creating for multiple clients, or rather multiple organizations, okay? You don't want money from organization A to be going to organization B, yet you're using the same daraja accounts and you're using the same APIs, okay? So what you do, maybe let's say you're creating for Naivas, and then there's maybe for Carrefour, okay? So when you're going to production, it will have the Naivas shortcode, and then here you'll have the Carrefour shortcode, okay? So whenever you are selecting which app to test with, let me go to, so remember, once you set up the go live, you can be able to switch here to go to production. You'll just see the same view, but with actual production credentials. So when I come to simulate again, I like using SDK push because it's what most of us have interacted with. When you're going to pay something, or rather, you've had maybe at the supermarket, you are being asked, say your phone number, then a prompt comes to just enter your PIN. So this is the API that they've usually integrated. So as you can see here, let's say this was Naivas, this was Carrefour. So when I select on Naivas, you can see maybe the shortcut for in production now, you'll be able to simulate with an actual production endpoint for production shortcut for that organization. That is maybe Naivas, okay? So this is basically party B is the organization receiving the money, okay? So to just answer that question, the issue is Sandbox and production environments are the same. So what will mostly be different is the base URL. So I can see this is pointing to Sandbox. So when you go live, it will be pointing to production. And you'll actually also the second issue that is different is the shortcode. You'll be using the live shortcode and not the test shortcode. Okay. Hope that difference is clear. Yeah, so the limitations of Sandbox, e.g., okay, yeah. So some of the limitations I've just mentioned is, sorry, you won't be actually seeing this data in real sense, the transactions and all that. As you can see, we are using dummy data, okay, and an actual. We're using dummy data, and we're using an actual. We are not using. Sorry, we are not using an actual shortcode. So some of the expectations when transitioning, I think, give me a minute. Some of the expectations, the first thing, remember, as I'd mentioned, is you need to have to register a shortcode, and I've shown you the process of registering one. Then secondly, you need to to use the production endpoints, okay? Yeah, so and use the live shortcodes. So these are some of the expectations that are required, but a prerequisite or something you must have is you need to apply for a shortcode and get the M-PESA username, okay, to be able to set up that account. Then within the Raja portal going live, I think we've okay, yeah. So I think maybe this is the confusion that comes in. So you can see here steps to upgrade app status from sandbox to production in the Daraja portal. So I'm assuming you've already created your application in Sandbox. You can see my sample test app, and you want to take this to production. So just to be able to separate concerns, what you need to do is create an actual, you just switch to the live, you switch to live. I've not set up going live, so that's why it's not appearing here. going production. So, but anyway, you'll switch to production, then you'll create a new app with just basically the same credentials. So you already know what details you can see all the API products that I'm having: Bill Manager, B2B, Express, M-PESA Ratiba, on the sandbox. So you'll just select the same also on creating a new app. So when you create a new app, so it will be the same process. So you'll just select everything that you had selected within the test app that you've used. Okay. So instead of upgrading a test, it's called what? A test app to production, you'll just create a new one with the same credentials, because this step is usually not long. Like, for example, let's say we just want Lip and M-PESA sandbox. So in production, it will just be Lip and M-PESA, just like that. And then we select, we also want M-PESA, right? So in production, forgotten to write a name. Just let me just write test for now. So, and just create app. So creating an application is as simple as that. So you can see the app is already created, which is this, okay? It's called test. So in production, you see now you'll just do the same process, and then you'll get the consumer key, the consumer secret. The shortcode will already be selected with whichever organization that you are trying to set up with, okay? That's pretty much it. So so that's the step of going to production. You just create a new app in production. What's reviewed before approval? So I don't think there's basically any approval needed, because the only issue here, what you're trying to do is you've already created your application and you're trying to integrate to maybe Express checkout. Okay. So if I could go maybe to Postman, let's say assume like you're going to production and the Safaricom production endpoint is this. Okay. Safaricom.co.ke, and under authorization here, you'll come and okay, let me go to authorization. So let's say this is the base URL for production. So here, the username and password, you'll actually use the ones that are for production. Then once you do that, all the rest you'll just do the same. So there's really not any approval needed to be able to integrate to these APIs, because all the approvals that are needed, you've already taken care of them when you're going live, and your shortcode is already approved. Okay, it's approved to be able to receive the money, in short. So there won't be any approvals needed. All you just need is to come and create a new application in production. And then once you create a new application in production, get the consumer key and secret, and then that's what you'll just use in prod. You'll just basically integrate it to your app like that. So you just put in the production endpoint, then the username and password. You'll change now from the sandbox credentials to now the prod credentials. Okay, and everything else remains the same. Everything else remains totally the same. So now when you're trying to maybe initiate the payment, so you'll come here and change maybe from the sandbox endpoint, the sandbox shortcode, to now your production endpoint, that the one that you have. Put in the right credentials here, the password for the one that you use on the M-PESA portal. Yeah, and technically everything else remains the same. Remember the IP address here on your callback to receive the payment notification wherever you want to receive it. Okay, so that's it. Party A, you'll put the user's phone number, whoever is trying to make the payment. Party B is your short code again. Okay, so that's the person who will be receiving the money, the till number that will be receiving the money. Okay, so technically that's it. Okay, so there's basically, you can see there's no approval. It's basically what we've been doing in Sandbox. We've just changed the base URL to a production endpoint, and we've actually also updated the username and password to use production credentials. Okay. I hope that makes sense. There's basically no an approval needed to do that. If you're asking about this approval for this one, it depends, but I don't think it takes more than 2 days. This one, for applying for a till number here. I guess maybe this is why you're trying to maybe you're starting from scratch. So you've done all the simulations and you're trying to create a till number. So yeah, this one won't take really long. Yeah, I think it's usually very fast, right? So this is where, but for users who already have a till number and they already have these credentials already sorted, they don't need any approvals. They'll just come, go live, and update the right credentials with the production endpoints. That's technically it. Okay. Let me go ahead back to the questions, back to the topics. So, so the required documents during, as you've just seen, the document that is required is only your ID number, your ID, right? So let me just go back there. So I think I've just shown you, it's only the ID. You can see upload identification documents. So whatever you have between here, it could be ID, your passport, because we are applying for as an individual. So if we were applying as, settle to bank, apply now. So as you can see here, you'll need a couple of more details, but you'll just put in your KRA PIN, your category, your account details. Yeah, the document is mostly also to your ID number, right? But as you can see, these are only all you need. So you need, if you want it to be settled to your bank account, you'll just need to have a bank account basically. Yeah, and KRA PIN, and that's it. Okay. So let's continue. So yeah, I think pay bill and till number setup, we've gone through this. Okay, but let me just go back again. So the difference between a pay bill and a till number. All right, so let me just go back there. So as you can see, when you're trying to apply, a pay bill is usually, okay, so one difference is when you're paying to a till number, you don't really need to write maybe the account details of what you're doing, the account details of the person that you're receiving. So for till number, it's usually when you're paying with M-PESA, you just go to pay, then you enter the till, because the till it's like a wallet. The till is like a wallet, is already a setup wallet, whereby once the user writes the till number, they'll automatically, someone pays to that till number. It's money coming from the person who is paying to your wallet, to your till number wallet. So a till is like a wallet for a business. Okay, it's like your money in a sort of a wallet. It's like, think of it like a bank account within M-PESA, sort of. Yeah. So it's just your wallet. So your money will go to that till. So you can collect as much money to the till number, then you withdraw it. So you can withdraw it to your own M-PESA. Okay. Yeah. So it's a wallet to, like, for receiving funds. Then a pay bill, like for example, you've seen the pay bill, the Safaricom pay bill is what people use to fundraise. Okay. So for example, you want to pay, you're fundraising, or rather you're paying for someone's hospital bill, right? So somebody goes ahead and registers a short pay, a pay bill. Okay. So you don't want, like for example, somebody has an harambe, or rather somebody is sick in hospital, they want a pay bill. So what you don't want somebody to send money to an individual's to an individual's it's called what, phone number. So you can come here and apply for a pay bill, okay? Maybe a medical pay bill. So you can see, you've heard of maybe that's a very bad example, I wanted to say, maybe some people asking for pay bill and then money is being sent to that pay bill. So when you're sending money to the pay bill, so you can, when you're trying to raise, it's not specifically like that you have a business. It's you can have a pay bill for a particular purpose. So for pay bills, you'll write in the pay bill number and an account number. On the account number is where you'll write your name. Some people ask you to write maybe, different things on the account details. Okay, so that is the difference between a pay bill and a till number. The pay bill as well, you can use it. Let's say you already have a bank account, right? So if you already have a bank account, you can go to. So a pay bill is like facilitating money to go to a certain location where you've where you want it to go, sort of. Because, like, for example, if you already have a bank account, let's say an Equity bank account, so somebody can go to Equity, can go to M-PESA, Lipa na M-PESA, goes and put in the Equity's pay bill number, which is 247247, then the account number, which will be your bank account number, okay? And then the money will go directly to your from the person's M-PESA to directly to your bank account, right? So that's basically how a pay bill works. Yeah. So pay bills that are associated with bank accounts, you'll write the pay bill for that organization. Let's say if it's Equity, and then your account number. So it will go to a different wallet separate from like M-PESA. Okay. But it's being facilitated to be paid through M-PESA technically. Okay, so that's basically a pay bill. Then so there's that pay bill for an organization, and then we have a short-term pay bill, the one that I've mentioned, that you can come and create for maybe fundraising. If you have medical bills, if you have maybe an education fund, you can create your own pay bill, and people will be able to pay directly to your pay bill, and it's not going to someone's M-PESA wallet. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then for till number is like for the business side. So it's like a wallet for the business where you can be able to receive money to the till. It's actually a full a wallet where you can be able to do any transaction. You can be able to pay through the till. You can be able to you can just think of it as your personal wallet, but now for the business. Okay, so you can see you can be able to pay to another by goods till. Directly from your till, you can pay to another till number. You can be able to pay to a mobile number. You can be able to pay to pay bill. You can be able to withdraw cash directly from the till number. You can withdraw it at an M-PESA agent. Then you can be able to sell airtime to customers using the collected funds. Yeah, to come here. So you can see even the let's say the mom and burgers, they already have the till numbers. They use it directly like a wallet. You don't even need to withdraw the money if you don't need to. Yeah. So that's technically it. It's a till is like a whole wallet within the M-PESA ecosystem. Yeah. So hopefully it makes sense. If it's not clear, just feel free to ask the questions on the chat. I'll answer them towards the end. Okay. So associating shortcodes with your app. Yeah, so as you can see, when you're going live, I think this one we had gone through. When you're going live, once you come and click on go live, this is where you'll put in the shortcode of your organization. Okay, immediately when you're just going live, you have to put in the shortcode of your organization. So that's it. You do that through Daraja, all right? And then now when you come under my apps, you can be able to now switch to basically the shortcut that you want to be receiving, that nini the organization receiving the shortcode. Okay, so in Sandbox we are not able to do that because we are all using the same shortcode, which is it's called what, the generated one for Safaricom. But when you're going live, you'll see the process of just adding the shortcode. Yeah. So remember, when you go live here, we'll also put it here. So that's technically it. setting up C2B and B2C channels. I think this one we had gone through the previous time in Sandbox. It's technically the same thing. What we did in Sandbox is the same thing you're doing it in production. So for B2C, remember the B2C is basically how an organization like, let's say, SportPesa will pay customers directly to. Maybe you've already won some money because so the money can come from their short code directly to an individual's phone number. Okay, so they can use you can use a B2B to be able to pay directly from your shortcode to someone's phone number. Then a C2B is the opposite, which is customer to business, the customer's phone number directly to a business shortcode. Okay, so I think it's usually very clear. I don't know if there are many questions about that because um huh, it's basically what we did on Sandbox. It's the same thing here. It's what you'll just do in production. So it's just what will just change is what is just change is this base URL, but the process, the payload all looks the same, except now the party B. You can see now party A on B2C, which is business to customer. The party A is the shortcode that has the funds and whoever you're paying. Okay. So if it's a betting company, for example, those are the ones who may mostly pay out directly from their shortcode to someone. This is the integration they do. Okay. So yeah, when you come to under simulate, you can see that's what you need to do. So like, for example, or rather you can even pay your employees. You can pay your employees through your own shortcode. Okay. You can say maybe salary payments. How much do you want to send that person? So all this now will be, you can be able to now use the production endpoints. Yeah. So so you can put in the amount, your shortcode that has the funds to the person that you're sending the money. In case the URL times out, you can put a callback here, and then the results of where you want to see maybe the notifications. Yeah, and then you can just simulate these tests. Okay, and you'll be able to see a sample response. Yeah. So this is a sample response. So this shortcode has sent 10 shillings to this phone number. Okay, but it's in the test environment, so you can be not able to basically see that. But in production, you can just update this with production credentials. The security credential here, remember, is the consumer secret. So that the one that you can get here under my apps. Okay, so once you switch to the production endpoint, here you can be able to see the actual secret for prod. Okay, so it's just the same in Sandbox and production in terms of logic. Safely storing your production consumer key and secret. Yeah, so I think it was a concern. So of how basically storing this in the code. So I think, as we had mentioned the previous time, we were saying like you can create a dot env environment that you can maybe git ignore. Yeah, so that can be ignored from your code, so you don't have to put the production credentials directly to your app. So let me just open this folder. I think I had closed it. Give me a minute. File. Sorry. I think we had done this the other time. Window. Okay. So I think let me just share. So we were trying to see this the other time in the code. think we had gone through this the previous time. So you can see now, before we make this payment, we had to first make the call to, okay, we first had to make this call to trigger the STK push. So now, you see the very first thing is we have to, so this is JavaScript actually. So before we actually make the call to, let's say to do anything, we have to first of all get the bearer token. Okay. So I think the main concern is like storing this here on the code, which is not actually secure at all. So I was just saying you can create a .env environment. Create. So where is my okay. So .env. For those who don't know, it's I already have one. Yeah, I already have one. So here you can store the username and password. So you can just say, and just write that username equals to, and then you put it. Yeah, something like that. So here you can replace it with the actual username and then a password. So like that. So now when you come to your code, you'll just import the .env and then so you can give it a name. All right, something of that sort. You can just import it. Sorry. So once you import it, so let's assume that is where it's stored. So you can just come and replace this section with something like env dot username. You can see even somebody going through your code, username, something like that. And then somebody going through your code won't even know the actual, and then here env dot password. Okay, so that's one way I can recommend to actually store the username and password. So this environment variable, you won't even, if you're submitting it to Postman, to GitHub, this one will be under the gitignore files. Okay, so yeah, or rather, just basically you store it away from the code. So even somebody having access to your code can't be able to see these credentials, right? Yeah, so that's one way I can actually recommend in doing that, and also even maybe storing the API URLs. You can store it like in an environment variable, like in JavaScript, you can create a .env file. Yeah. So token management, best practices, caching tokens, expiry handling. So as you can see here, we are using a bearer token. So immediately we send this API. So remember on Postman, is it? So you can see, and you can see it expires in about how many milliseconds? 3599. So you can basically immediately, you can just basically use the normal. Okay, for example, this access token, if you're on React, you can use state management tools like Zustand or Redux, okay, and actually save the access token. And then now this access token is what you'll be using to access, basically to be able to you can be able to retrieve it and use it to send the API calls, okay? So like, let's say, for example, once you finish sending these, we actually get the bearer token. So that result is what will just come here and replace with maybe bearer token that is saved. Maybe you'll first send this API call to get the token. Then once you send the API call to get the token, you can save it using any state management tool that you want. Probably, let's say Redux, okay? And then now you can be able to retrieve it, and so you can just see which is more optimal for your code. To just store it globally, and or rather, you can even update your env and then retrieve it from the same. Okay, and then you can put a timeout. So once it expires, it can call this API again and generate a new token. Okay, because the response comes back with the token and the expiry time in milliseconds. Yeah. So that is after 3 seconds. So technically 359 is about 4 seconds. Yeah, so you need to regenerate a new one. If I'm not wrong, feel free to correct me. Environment variables and secret vaults in deployments. Yeah. Also, in Laravel, in JavaScript, we all use the .env. Remember to put the .env in gitignore, okay? So that it's not posted on your GitHub, even if it's private, okay? So that somebody even cloning the app might not be able to see the environment variables, which can be shared as a separate file, okay? For the organization, so that you don't expose the consumer's key and secret. Yeah. So it's technically what we've talked about. Okay, so we're almost done. I think most of the things here are repetitive. So domain and SSL certificate configuration. So why Safaricom requires the HTTPS? So as you know, HTTPS is more secure since it's already signed with the SSL certificate. So generally, any traffic through HTTP and HTTPS is a bit more secure. So somebody might not be able to easily hijack your traffic. Okay. So, and if your callback fails, you can always reinitiate the call again. Remember to also confirm that you've whitelisted the IPs. Remember, some of the things that can cause the IP to that can cause the callback to fail is maybe your server is not allowing the whitelisted APIs, IP addresses where what we use to send the callbacks. Okay, so these ones. So remember, you just come under docs going live, then you can be able to see the IP addresses. Make sure all these are whitelisted so that your callback does not fail. And in case it actually fails, you can feel free to contact us at M-PESA APIs at safaricom.co.ke. Okay, so there's a team that is usually active 24/7 to support you on the same. Okay, yeah. So remember to whitelist this in case it's one of the reasons that your callback may fail. Yeah. So I don't know what else might cause a callback to fail, but just feel free to reach out in case that happens to you. Yeah. Then so generating and installing an SSL certificate. This one is very domain specific, depending with what domain you're using to host, or rather where your base URL is, or your callback URL is. So, for example, if you're using Namecheap, they have their own way of generating an SSL certificate. Yeah, so that is not on your end to do. Like, for example, if you're worried if like this base URL, you're the one that you don't need to sign this certificate with your own SSL certificate. I will just provide to you. Once you go live, you'll see the production endpoint. It's already a HTTPS, so it's not on your end to configure that. And if it's within your domain, you can use whichever hosting platform or wherever your domain is hosted to actually generate the certificate, the SSL certificate. So ensuring callbacks URLs are reachable and return 200 OK response. Yeah, so I think in production, the main case is usually the whitelisting issue. Yeah, but there's no reason that your callback, and if it's actually calling your own system, basically you've put an endpoint where we will be calling back. You just need to ensure that your system is up and running and it's actually reachable. Okay. Yeah, because callbacks is usually just it's like calling an API. So we just need to make sure the environment is actually up and running and it's whitelisted in case that you need traffic from our own API callbacks. All right. So crafting production-ready endpoints for C2B validation and confirmation, BTC timeout and results, login transactions and errors for audit and debugging. So remember, on Sandbox, we have all that handled. If I could go back. So like, for example, any API, you already have the, like, for example, the C2B. Okay, let me go to the C2B one. So you can see we already have a sample body. You already know the sample result, and we've explained each of the body because this body is usually a bit confusing. Like, for example, you might wonder what is the merchant request ID. Okay, so you can see the description down here. This is a global unique identifier for any submitted requests. Okay, so you can use it's called what? UUID. Okay, so it's unique for each transaction. So, and then the checkout request ID. So we've actually explained each of them here. And then this is a sample body response. And then if it is unsuccessful, this is how you expect the failure is. Like, let's say somebody did not put in the PIN or they canceled, you can see the result description. So okay, if we can try out something else. Querying the transaction status. So yeah, so for querying the transaction status, you'll obviously now put in this body. You can be able to feel free to just check what each of the body request is actually talking about. And then the request body. The request body is basically the payload that you're sending. The response. So this is an actual response. And in case it fails, you can come under errors and you can be able to see all the errors. We've actually given you all the different error codes. Okay, so just every single API, when you come under error, we've returned every single error codes that you're expecting and their description. Okay, so let me see if I've understood the topic well. Yeah. So technically, that's it. So when you're crafting a production ready endpoint, so basically on your end, you just change to the production endpoints, and then it's not, you're not the one that you're actually creating the endpoints for yourself. We'll Once you go live, we'll give you the base URL that you need to just add. So you just replace the sandbox one with the production one. So logging the transactions and errors for audit. So yeah, all the errors we'll return the specific error codes, and then you can be able to just see which error that has happened. And remember, we have this API specifically for querying the transaction status of a particular API of a particular transaction. Okay. So you can see, just put in the transaction ID and you can see whether the API went well or not. And in case we have here the timeout URL, it calls back your domain and basically the API that we need to just call back in case there's a timeout in checking the querying the transaction status. And basically, you can also post the URL where you want to receive the transaction status. So on your end, you can just create the API to query the transaction status. So yeah, so basically that is what you'll put in the body. For what we just did the other time on Sandbox is the same thing you'll do on production. Yeah. So I'm sure maybe there'll be questions around that. So I'll just clarify as we go. Error handling in live mode. Okay. So the errors are technically the same. So the error codes, these error codes in production and on Sandbox, they're the same. I think that is usually a point of concern. Okay. Sorry, yeah. So, and you can see each error code, we've given a mitigation, okay? So like, let's say, for example, you get an error 500, internal server error. So you can make sure everything on your side is correctly set up as per the API you're calling, the correct endpoints. The endpoints, remember, for production will provide, plus your server is running as expected. If it's a 400, so maybe you might be using an expired token, which is unauthorized. So you need to regenerate a new token. So for each error code that you get, remember we've given on daraja, just come to daraja, check the API that you're actually calling, and then see which error code you got. They're very specific. If you get 500 with 03 status, you're actually sending multiple requests that violate the M-PESA transaction per second speed. So you might maybe need to do something like adding rate limiting, yeah, on your M-PESA API. So we've given all the mitigations here. I'm not sure, maybe in case there are any questions, maybe Douglas, you can clarify. But so for any error that you're expecting, whatever you see here on Sandbox is basically whatever, it's exactly the same error that you expect to see in production. Okay, so they are the same. Let me go back. Actually, most of the things I'm just talking about, I see them in the next topic. So rate limiting, retires, handling downtime from M-PESA. So remember, like for example, this API for querying transaction status, we've provided on the body, we've provided a callback, a timeout URL. In case your URL times out, you can actually query it again in case it times out. Okay, so that's on your request body, you can actually call it again. So to make sure that it doesn't take really long, or rather, if it takes too long, we can query the transaction again and mostly get the result. And in case you get any of the errors here, you'll be able to see how to mitigate it. Okay. If it's not, unless the transaction is not found, then you'll get a 4 not found. Yeah. So rate limiting will help you avoid such errors. You see, like this one sending multiple requests at the same time. Yeah. So those are some of the, so on your API, at least make sure those are handled. And then they actually just handle the same way it's a lot different of what you'll do on M-PESA and how you actually code your normal APIs. Okay. So responding to unexpected errors as 500 from API. So I think this is actually concerning maybe on the user's end. So remember, each error that you're getting, like a 500, you already know the exact error because there are different types of 500. So you can get this 500 internal server error. You can get this error card violation. You can get a spike arrest violation, where your endpoints are constantly generate a lot of errors that lead to a spike that affects the M-PESA's performance. So where you need to actually make sure that you make sure your endpoint is running and responding with actual responses and not actually timing out. So maybe your callbacks and such things, right? So remember, we've given these specific ones, but you don't need to show the user all this. So once you get this 500, I think on the users, you can just tell them something went wrong, but on your end, you already know what is the specific error. So you can come under daraja, come and check the error, the specific error code, come and check the mitigation and make sure you actually resolve that issue. Yeah. So that is a graceful handling because you don't need to show the user invalid authentication header, right? So you can just inform them something went wrong and then maybe retry. So on your end, if you already know the actual error, you can come and help mitigate it based on the mitigation that we've given you. Okay, not unless it's an error that we've not highlighted here, you can always contact M-PESA support. We actually even go into one-on-one calls with the devs and have resolved the issues for them. So the Daraja team is actually very supportive. So in case you find any issues, yeah, we are ready to support on the same. So yeah, but it won't get there because we're trying to write all the error codes that you'll actually expect and the mitigations. Yeah, so you feel free. Actually, the best experience is test it on Sandbox. Make sure you're not getting these timeouts and the errors, and gracefully handle the error codes. So whatever you do on Sandbox, just change the endpoints to the production ones. It's the exact same error. So you'll have already mitigated it in Sandbox. Then once you're going to production, all is well. So common pitfalls, mistakes that get apps rejected, unreachable URLs, wrong shortcuts, invalid certificates. Mm, so mm, apps are not usually rejected as much, not unless now your shortcode is wrong, whereby now you need to actually contact the M-PESA business at safaricom.co.ke to help you actually check what is wrong with your shortcode, or rather your admin credentials. Yeah. So once that is sorted on the API side, you can just use the right credentials. Okay. So issues for wrong shortcode, they're usually on the business side, but you can always contact M-PESA business. Yeah. So unreachable URLs, maybe this could be an issue with your server, but on our end, we actually ensure all the URLs are usually up and running. And in case it's not found, you'll actually get the right error message if it's unreachable. Okay. So you can be able to maybe check the duration. Yeah. And if it persists, you can always contact us at M-PESA API support at safaricom.co.ke. Yeah. So in case if it's issues with the API integration, if it's issues with the shortcode, it's M-PESA business at safaricom.co.ke. At Gmail at safaricom.co.ke. Yeah. So I think I'll share all those details. But yeah, we've tried because I know most devs complain about the documentation on Daraja, but I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. Yeah, so you can see the body, you can see all the errors. Okay. Yeah, and in case you don't find it here, you can always contact us. Yeah. So what else? Forgetting to switch from sandbox URLs to production endpoints. Yeah, so this is a very common mistake. So you can see, like, for example, in my code here, let me just open it. So I'm using the same code base on production and UAT. So let's say you see this API URL here. It's already pointing to Sandbox. Okay. So it's already pointing to Sandbox. So let's say now when I want to now push it to production, let's say the production endpoint is this. I might forget to update maybe on the second API, right? Let's say for C2B, maybe I have C2B and I have this one for triggering the token. So I might forget. So one good way that we recommend is have it centralized. Okay. Let's say now, for example, you can come and say, you can come here and create maybe const, like I can call it prod base URL, right? Prod base URL. So you avoid to put it on code so that once you change it once, it changes through all of it. Okay. So let's say the prod base URL is this. So these are best practices to put in your code. Okay. So that's the prod base URL. And maybe, sorry. And maybe here now we have the const sandbox. Because the change is usually on the code build. So the sandbox one was, it's the same, but it has sandbox at the start. Something like this. So this is one thing you need to be careful about. Okay. So now, let's say now, like that. So now here we will come and replace this with now the credentials. We actually don't put them directly. So we can just do something like, okay. So you can see it's sandbox base URL. So I know anywhere through my code, when I just put sandbox base URL, I'll be testing using the sandbox base URL. And then now once we are done testing using the sandbox base URL, we will come here and switch to prod base URL. Okay. So now everywhere within my app will now be using the prod base URL. Okay. So you can see all these. Yeah. So that's one thing you can use to help you. So instead of having to put it every single endpoint, yeah, you can forget. So do that. Then you can also do the same for on the env. So here you can do the prod username. Yeah, prod username and prod password. Because if you fail to do this, the API will actually fail, right? So, not sure. Yeah, and then you can have the sandbox one. So, this is technically the same thing, but now for sandbox. Sandbox username and sandbox password. So remember, this username and passwords, they are under app. Okay, so remember you have two apps. So you have one, you see all these three apps are under my sandbox. So when I come here under this drop down, once I finish setting up the go live, I'll be able to switch to the production ones and I'll see the apps under production. So make sure you copy the consumer key and secret for the ones that you want to go to production, the production consumer key and secret, and then the sandbox consumer key and secret. If you're using and then come and put it on your .env environment. And whenever you're sending the API here, so here you can use now that prod username and maybe come here and use the prod password. So these are some of the issues that maybe you might encounter, but on your end, make sure. Now you see my whole code is now pointing to production. I'm using the prod username and password, and here I'm using the prod base URL. Okay, so just like that, I've already changed everything that I had done use on the sandbox environment to just the prod environment. But basically, the responses, the requests, they are the same. So it's just a matter of changing the base URL and the username and password to use the prod credentials, right? Just that's it. So that's how you actually change it on the code. Yeah. So let me continue. Yeah. So the issue of forgetting, if you centralize them, or rather you put them all in an env file, you can actually always know. You can actually even have the UAT or prod credential and just change in one spot. Okay. Hard-coded tokens or credentials in code, yeah, we've already talking about this. Just put them on a .env file so that they're not visible on the code. Okay. Compliance. Legal or financial compliance checks by Safaricom. and how business should monitor transactions and reconcile them using the Safaricom's transaction status API for out. Awesome. So I think the compliance, I think they're written under the terms and conditions, but each of the APIs, like for example, in production, to query the transaction status, you basically use this API. Just change here to the prod credentials, to the prod endpoint. Then you'll query you already know the transaction ID that you want to query. Also, you can come under the organization business portal, and once you put in your shortcode, you can see all the transactions under that shortcode. But actually, when you also call this API, you can be able to see the responses, something like that. So, for example, now these are all the transactions in this shortcode. You can see this paid, this John Doe, whatever. So, and the time. So you can be able to see them as an array. So yeah. So feel free to now, for example, if you want to see details of this particular transaction ID, you can now query and you can see it here. So in terms of reconciliation, so on your end, okay, so we can think of a setup like a user has done this API. Let's come here. So let's say the user, you've created a SDK push. So once the user has made the payment, maybe okay. So let me come and do this. So once you do this, you already have a callback URL. Immediately now, this transaction is done. Which API do we call? So maybe we have an API to check the transaction status of that ID. Remember, the response of this has a transaction. The response, you can see the response has the response has a transaction ID, which is this. Okay. So you can maybe on your end create an API that queries this transaction, whether is successful or not. Okay. But by just getting this response body, your result, you already know this transaction is successful. So in terms of reconciliation, I think mostly people use the querying the transaction status, or just seeing of that particular shortcode. So we have, let me go back to APIs. So you can come under query. So remember the simulate and query. So here you can use to check the status of this SDK push, and you can be able to see the response body. If basically the response it's called what, if this API is actually up and running, and then you can come under querying the transaction status to just query the actual transaction status of that API, of that transaction ID. So based on how your code is, you can do the express payment, get a successful response, maybe take them to the next page, try to see the status of that API by using this API call. And then if the API is successful, I guess maybe now you show the user that their request is successful and maybe they can proceed from there. So yeah, so maybe you might need to see what now. Yeah, so this is the major one that you use actually for checking the status of any payments that you've made through any of these APIs. As long as you just pass in the transaction ID, we will give you the feedback. Yeah. So use this for reconciliation, and actually, even if there's a dispute, like for example, the payment has been made and we are not sure, so you can always query if the transaction went through, and then actually confirm in case it took a long time during the SDK push. Okay, so it's a very important API. So in production, you just change to the production endpoints. I'm seeing time is almost up. Then so yeah, basically querying the transaction status, you can use that. Remember to also put in a callback to always be notified of all the payments. So for example, for this B2C, you can create APIs. You can put in your domain that will be called each time a transaction is made. Okay. So here, just put in a callback. So anytime the transaction is successful, we can call that to notify you. Okay. Yeah. So that's one way you can monitor. Let me go back to the questions. Yeah. So this is basically what we did on Sandbox. We just change it to production endpoints. Okay. So what else? So for example, if you want us to test on Postman, let me just revert back to Sandbox. Let me get a new token. So I've gotten this token. So let's say we want to query the transaction status. So we'll come query the status of Lipa and M-PESA online, come to body. So authorization. So here we'll use bearer token. So this is actually the process of what you'll just also do on the code. The very first step, get the token. Once you get the token, use the token as a bearer token to send the status. And then come to body. So I want to actually take the Sandbox details. So let me go to here. Let's query this. Am I under query? Let me go back. My apps, APIs, query. Let me select this. No, we were testing with this. So this is a common example. You can see I wanted to use test, which this consumer key is different from this one. So my APIs wouldn't have worked. So, so we have to simulate a request first so that we can actually get this request ID. So let me go request an ID. Let's simulate here. Let's select the second one. Okay, let's call that. So once, remember, you can actually see this code and how to integrate it in any of these languages. For example, in JavaScript, you can just copy this code as it is and paste it in your code, and she'll be able to send this API request. So as you can see, we got the checkout request ID here. So now using this checkout request ID is now what we can now use to query that particular transaction. So I'll come under app APIs, come under query, then select the app that I'm testing with, then checkout request ID, I paste that, and then I can query. And as you can see, now we can get the service has been accepted. DS timeout user cannot be reached. Yeah, I think there's an issue there, but anywho, you can see that is basically how we are querying. So we were actually just querying that specific one. So let's come and go to my apps, no APIs. Let's go to transaction status. Let me select the second one. What do they want? We have that, we have that, we have that. Let's write tests. Tests. Don't know what I haven't added because I wanted the simulate. Oh, identifier type. Sorry. So what are we trying to query? So let's say using MSSDN. Okay. So response code is 0. So we have basically no information about this particular transaction ID. Though if you have one, you can just put it there and then you can be able to see the response, the description, and basically what you expect. Okay, so this is a sample successful response, okay, with actual information about a particular transaction ID. Okay, yeah, so see. Okay, real world deployment, CI/CD deployment tips, test cases to run before go live, logging live transactions securely, and sending alerts on failed callbacks. So, yeah, so basically on the test cases, you can generate test cases based on so you can generate your test cases based on the okay, it depends, but basically you can try create test cases based on these parameters. You're actually passing the right parameters. Also test cases against the error codes to just basically simulate any errors are handled correctly. So yeah, you can put it in your pipeline while deploying, so that for this particular code, like for example, that you're creating, when you're going live, I think we can probably document that later. But probably when you're creating test cases for this, so for example, a test case for this function would be making sure that we have the correct username and credentials, we have the correct endpoints based on the environment, we're actually passing a valid phone number, the right request, and the callback is actually reachable. And we have, in case of a timeout, we have a notification sent to an actual API, an actual endpoint to notify the user. So you can use, it's called what? Google Analytics, basically just checking the health of your application. Yeah, or Dynatrace, or basically whatever tool you want to use to actually just check whether your APIs are actually active, your 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 endpoints are active. Yeah, and you can actually also integrate email in case there's a timeout, you get an email or an SMS notification that an API failed because maybe the callback was down or something. Okay, so that's some of the mitigations you can use to be real time, in case, so that your users are not stuck in your e-commerce site and maybe it's down. Okay. So yeah, so me, I would say test cases, I would comment, build test cases around the error codes and around the expected input values, and they're actually correct. Okay. So logging the live transactions securely. I think, for example, if you're using PHP, your logs can be basically these logs that you receive, the callback, the response status, you can put them in a file that is not actually online. Basically, for JavaScript, you can avoid console logging the responses, because a user can actually just see it on their logs. Yeah, so basically, based on your language, you can just choose to basically hide the logs. Okay, and just leave them for your team, or rather you just log on Sandbox, and when you're going to production, you hide them. Okay. Sending alerts on failed callbacks. Yeah, so you can integrate maybe email in case this API fails. In case it gets a certain error code, like let's say a 500, a timeout, you can integrate an SMS alert at that point, or an email alert. Yeah, so you can always know. So you can, that one you can actually do it outside M-PESA. It's just that because we already give you all the callback, all the response codes. So, a failed response code, you can trigger the actual email or SMS to yourself or to a certain API. And then you can be able to handle that error, or rather to notify the team, or rather to even display it on a dashboard if you have one. Yeah. So I think that's it on this. I hope I've handled it correctly. In case of anything, I'll also be able to pick that up. I think there are also some few questions as we finish up on 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 the Google Sheet. So I think the very first question I can see there's a lot of bureaucracy when setting up for the first time, particularly a lot of hidden fine print such as shortcodes. Well, I think I've gone through the process of applying for a shortcode. And I think when you're applying for a shortcode, if I would show that, I think we've explained maybe in case maybe of the hidden charges, in case of somebody is worrying about that, they're actually listed here. So when I click on apply now, depending with what you choose here, you can see all the fine prints hopefully written here. So you can see the rates and charges, 0.5% charge and not more than 200 per transaction for money collected on the till. Collections of 200 and below are free. Okay. There are no customer charges for payments using Lipa na M-PESA. That's why you always see Lipa na M-PESA for a customer is free. Okay. When you're paying to buy goods and service. So I think these are some of the prints when applying for the shortcodes. I don't know if somebody has found something that is out of the ordinary and not listed here. Maybe you can actually be able to raise that up with M-PESA business at safaricom.co.ke, and then we'll be able to support you accordingly. Then what are some of the common mistakes teams make when transitioning to production? I think the major mistake is what I've mentioned on the code. You find that somebody is probably using the base URL for production and maybe credentials for Sandbox. So those are some of the things you need to be careful. And you can actually even create a test case for doing that, for actually making sure that your production endpoint is actually matching to the production credentials, the username and password. Yeah. And then why sometimes you can get anonymous prompt, and when you fail to put M-PESA PIN, it will automatically check your balance in M-PESA. So I think for this anonymous prompt, it's not usually actually triggered from the M-PESA side. It could be first, it could be maybe something you subscribed to, or rather maybe somebody is trying to collect money and just sending prompts. People can actually abuse this. That's why like now there's this rate limiting, and you cannot like send the same request for to multiple people at the same time for these prompts. So yeah, in case you see that, you just report that shortcode. You can actually report a shortcode. If you just see it appearing anonymously and you're not expecting it, you can actually report it. Okay. How can a developer who is bootstrapping navigate the need for business registration certificate in order to go live? So, as you've seen here, as we were applying, we've not even put our business certificate anywhere. So we are just doing an individual till. Like money will be going directly to my own phone number. Okay. So all you needed to do, you can come and apply for an individual till. So when you apply for an individual till, you just need to apply your ID number. You just need to upload your ID. That will be the prerequisite. Okay. So as a dev, just use your ID. Okay. And you can be able to get a till number. So most people do with pay bill. Is it possible to do with buy goods? Remember, a pay bill is money going to a different wallet. It could be going to a bank account. But the short answer is no. because a buy goods, the wallet in a buy goods is money like within the Safaricom ecosystem, right? So you can be able to withdraw from an agent, you can be able to pay to another till number. It's like money in your M-PESA wallet, but it's just now in a till number wallet, right? So you can be able to just operate as a like the till number can operate like an individual, right? But a pay bill is money sitting somewhere else, like it could be in a bank account or somewhere else, right? So yeah, so you can just get the money. Yeah. So what API can I link with and also use on WhatsApp using my till number? What API can I link with and also use on WhatsApp using my till number? Knowledge and meeting someone who can do it for me. Okay. So I'm guessing I've not understood the question well, but I'm guessing this is a person who wants, in case somebody pays to their till number, they get a notification on WhatsApp. Yeah. So I think getting a notification on WhatsApp, it's a different service, obviously outside the Daraja APIs. But what we can provide for you, you can get actually, you see, when somebody pays to the till number, see we have that callback URL. So that callback URL can be a domain, or rather can be an API call to your system that actually is constantly checking. Like if the API is, if the transaction is made successfully, then send a notification to WhatsApp or send a notification to email or send or phone number. So immediately a transaction is successful, call that API that you've created separately. So you can maybe just Google how to send a notification on WhatsApp. And remember, once you make the till number integration, we already share information like maybe the transaction code, the transaction time. So you can extract that information and send it maybe to your WhatsApp or to your SMS. Okay. Yeah. So you can put a callback URL to a system, to a service that actually does that. Okay. So in case of anything, we'll feel free to reach out. I'll share my email address and then you can be able to reach out. So in Sandbox, why is the callback delivered consistently? Okay, I think the callback is just helping you to just know that that transaction has been made successfully. So it's an important thing. Like for example, you can imagine like somebody, if your till number is operating separate from the owner, like you're not always on the shop that is getting the nini, but you need to be getting the SMS that somebody has paid, somebody has paid, somebody has paid. Yeah. So just like the way in petrol stations, they actually, there's that person who actually just checks that. So you can easily use a callback to be able to, to do something more than just the actual transaction, or rather, yeah, to do something extra. How to handle error in live mode? I think the errors, any error that you like encounter, are usually, we've written it under the mitigations. Sorry. Uh, yeah, so we've given the mitigation for these errors here. Sorry, I think I was actually reading this from somewhere you're not seeing, but it's cool. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just going through some of these questions that you had asked. Then, can you do a demonstration using PHP or Laravel framework? So I use mostly JavaScript, but for that person needing a PHP input, let me just show you how you can compare. Like for example, we did this API for authorization, okay? So I've done it in JavaScript. Let me just go there. So the concept is the same practically. It's really the same. So you can see in JavaScript, what you just do. So this is PHP. But let me just explain. So that the user, the person who is actually integrating on PHP, they're not lost. So if I could go to my code, Because in programming, like most of the things, the variables, the functions, classes are all the same. Okay, so very few differences. So for example, in PHP, for example, in configuring the base URL, okay, here we are using const API URL. So as you can see here on Sandbox, okay, so for them, they've just gone ahead and made the requests using this is Java. This is JavaScript. They've gone ahead and made the request using fetch. Okay. So, and all they need is just basically the headers and the URL endpoints. Okay. So in PHP, we actually making the API call like this. So basically, you just need to initialize in which URL are you calling? Yeah, the headers. So this is how you specify the headers. Let me just expand this. Okay. Yeah. So basically, these are the headers. You can see the authorization here is using basic auth. So this is it's called what? Base 64. So basically the username and password is actually converted to a base 64. So here you can convert this and get this URL. And then, so we have that. So, and then we store the response that we can get here using, so they're using this call execute ch, which basically is getting this URL here. And then we close the transaction, and then we echo the response, basically display the response. So you can see in these multiple languages, all they're just doing is doing an API call. So here we are doing the API call in PHP. Here is doing an API call in Java. So they're using a new request builder. Okay. So they're using a HTTP client to get the HTTP client accepts post, get, request. Basically, you can be able to send whichever request. So in PHP, this is how we are doing. So even if we can choose to do API requests in PHP, call a REST API. We could actually just chat GPT this, but you can see now this is a function to call the API call. So so all you need for this method is to pass the method, which is a post, get, or put, then the URL, the endpoint, the data, which is the payload, right? So case post. So basically, I think PHP uses is using this call whatever, this keyword here to send a post request, a get request. So let me just let's just use ChatGPT. But I guess you technically get the gist of it. All you need to know is the URL, the endpoint, and the payload. So how you do it in the different languages is basically something that you can actually just Google. So just to help you, making which code, or rather, let's just do making basic as request in PHP. So I think this call init is an actual keyword in PHP, but you can see the username and password here, and the base URL is here. So it's technically like, if you can just compare with what you've done here in JavaScript, this is the base URL and this is the username. And then we go ahead and actually use fetch, which is used in JavaScript to make an API call. Okay. So when you're fetching, we pass the API URL and the request options, which is basically the the headers, like what do you want on the head? The method is a post, the headers are this, and this is the body. Okay. So once we get, we store the response. Okay, that is in JavaScript. In PHP, it's kind of almost, you can see it's sort of the same. There's this, you set all these details, the username and password, and store the response. So it's just basically, I think for a PHP dev can easily understand this, but yeah, I think the concept is technically the same. Yeah. So I'll try. I think we were building with Douglas it's called what? The integration for multiple languages. So we started JavaScript, Python, and I think we'll also include PHP on the same GitHub profile. And then we will share after the call the public Git of the actual integrations of all these APIs. So I'm currently working on that, but we will share still on the same platform, and we'll put it as a description on this video when you come back to it. Okay. Sorry, I think we're almost almost at the last question. So how to set up B2C moving funds from business pay bill to customer M-PESA number? The setup is not clear enough. So this is a very good question. Yeah, let me show you. It's actually using this. It's actually using the B2C API integration. Let me come back to that. Sorry, let me close this. So if you're trying to make a payment from your shortcode to someone's phone number, let me go there. Let me go there. APIs. You'll come and use this B2C payment. Select apps, select desktop. So it's actually all you just need to do with this API. Let me even show you on Postman. B2C payment request. The setup is not actually really difficult. All you just need is see the body here. So I'm sure what was confusing is what all this you need to put in here, right? So what I usually recommend from the sandbox, you can just send this particular request. So business payment. It's actually, we had done it the other time. So you can see this body, we already got it with all the information we need. So I can copy this here. Oh, also, if you're wondering what all these are, the explanation is here. How do I close this now? I am basically not sure. Okay, let me just. Okay, I am. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is the explanation. What is an originator conversation ID? So we've actually explained here. The initiator name, the security credential. I was telling you this is the consumer secret key. However, in production, the password is created when the user is being created on the M-PESA organization portal. Yeah, so immediately you just finish up on this, you'll get the consumer secret key when you go live. Okay, when you come under daraja and click on go live, it will be set up for you. So that's what you'll use. The command IDs are unique that identifies a B2C transaction. Is it a salary payment, a business payment? Okay, so this is what you wanted to know. A normal business to customer payment. For example, refunding a customer, and you want to refund the customer directly from your shortcode to their phone number. You can use this B2C payment. But there's one for refunding anyway. There's an API for refunding. Party A is where you'll put your shortcode. Where is the money coming from? Party B is who is receiving the money. Okay. Additional remarks. Maybe you can say, I am paying them because they won a bet and I'm a betting company. In case of a timeout URL, this is a URL specified in your request that will be used by API proxy to send notification in case the payment request is timed out while awaiting the process in the queue. Okay, so you are trying to make a payment and then it failed or it timed out. So put in a URL whereby us as Safaricom, we can call you and just tell you this payment failed. Kindly request the user maybe to make the, or rather even tell yourself to reinitiate the transaction again. So you can see here it's asking you to put in your domain of where we can call in case there's a timeout. Result URL, this is the URL specified in your request that will be used by M-PESA to send notification upon processing the payment. So this is a successful one, and this is in case of a timeout. Then occasion, what are you doing? Yeah. So technically that's it. So immediately you send this API, this phone number will get money from this shortcode. Okay. And this is how you pass the body. So security credential, this value you'll use it from, because you know money is coming from your shortcode. So we need the security credential of your pay bill so that we just make sure like money is not just being deducted from your shortcode to someone's sense phone number. I think the rest are actually very clear. Yeah. So I don't know in case of any issue. These names, you can just give any name, the test API, the initiator name. Here you can use a UUID, okay, to generate this. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. In case of any question, just feel free to reach out. So I think I've gone through the questions on the structure and the ones that you had sent to me earlier on the form. Yeah, so I don't know if there are questions on the live chat, or I can say I've come to the end of the presentation. Yeah, so maybe the key takeaways when you're going live, remember you have to register a shortcode very fast, the first case. And there are two different kinds of shortcode. You can get an M-PESA till number or a short-term pay bill. Yeah, so those are the two. And then these ones, they will come, we will configure for you now the M-PESA username. We'll send to you the shortcode, and you can actually use admin credentials, which you can set up on the business portal. Yeah, so once you do that, you can come to Daraja, come to go live, then put in the shortcode that you've already requested for, and it has been created. Put in the organization name and the M-PESA username. So once you do that, when you come under my apps, you can now be able to now switch from Sandbox to production, because now you've already set up the production endpoints. Then you can be able to set up now the different apps that you want with the different shortcodes. Okay. And then those apps are what you'll now use the consumer key and secret, depending with which app you're integrating for. If you are building for Naivas, you just come and onto your code and put in the production username for Naivas. Then if you're doing it for maybe Carrefour, then you'll put in the right credentials. So this username and password, you can get them under the apps here. Okay, and then what else? Yeah, so remember to also put them in a .env environment so that you don't expose the username and passwords. Yeah, you can also centralize the base URLs so that you can always know where to point to. Yeah. What was also another key takeaway? So another key takeaway, when you come under documentation, come to going live, and then you can be able to see some of the IP addresses that we use to receive the callback from. You whitelist this so that we can be able to do the callbacks to your endpoints. Yeah, so that's it. So in terms of switching from production to endpoint, from production to Sandbox, you're using this under my apps. You can switch using this drop down here, Sandbox to production. Right now I'm on the Sandbox and I've not set up a production environment yet. Yeah, so then you can switch to production. When you switch to production, you can see your apps under production. So you can build for multiple clients, and each client will appear as apps. So just configure the right consumer key and secret for each of them. And then the integration under APIs here, you'll just use the same way we are using them in Sandbox. Yeah, just make sure that the endpoint is actually pointing to production and not Sandbox. Yeah, so that's it on going live. So thank you very much. I think I take it over to you, Douglas, in case of any questions that I've missed. Thank you.
Wow, that was indeed credible. We've really learned a lot. Thank you so much, Joseph, for the sacrifice. If there is a way in which organizations could allow the public to endorse some of their employees who've done impact, I think this community would highly do that to Safaricom. Maybe for the people, the stakeholders who directly work with your company, which is Safaricom, they can really take back feedback that you are one of those employees who are creating impact to developer communities, because this session is being watched by very many developers in the Kenyan tech ecosystem. Yeah, so we can show some love for Joseph. You can find Joseph on LinkedIn. Let me just share his profile. Yeah, so you can get Joseph on LinkedIn. You can pick up any conversation with him. You can also thank him. You can also tag him so that his company can see how much he's doing in the developer communities. At the end of the year, when people are being recognized, even though it may not be that case, but at least people can be able to see that he's doing impact. So mention him, let his organization see what he's doing, because he's just volunteering to teach us. He has taken almost 3 hours just to help us do some of the most technical things that are there when it comes to working with the M-PESA integrations on the Daraja portal. So Joseph, thank you so much. We are very grateful as a community. You've actually answered most of the questions that were there from the live chat, from the pre-session link that we sent, and I don't think there's anything you've really left out in as far as going live is concerned. It's been practical. Personally, I've picked a lot of things, and I guess very many developers have also done the same, even when it comes to logging errors, checking pitfalls, and also knowing how to secure their credentials. Now, if you have any other specific questions, Joseph had promised to share his email, but you can also follow him up on LinkedIn. I guess he's able to maybe direct you on how to contact him very well. He had also left some emails. We'll also put them in the video description. This video is being recorded, so you can always come back and check it out later. You can also share it with your friends, for those who maybe are working with developer communities, so that you'll be able to see all those links we've talked about. This is just a volunteer community that we are running. You can always subscribe to our channel to see much more content that we do. But all the same, we hope you've really taken some of the key points or the key highlights when it comes to going live. As a summary, that is what we've covered. If you got this video ongoing, we looked at the overview of Daraja, the portal, some of the basics in the sandbox, which we had covered in the first session of this video. This was the second session on M-PESA APIs. We've also looked at when to choose the till or the pay bill, some of the security keys, paradigms, how to store security keys, SSL certificates. We've also talked about that and how to keep your domain secure, handling callbacks, some of the pitfalls, and quite a number of things. You can rewatch the video for your own good. Allow me to end the session at that point with this particular video.
M-PESA is more than money. It is possibility.
We have a platform we call Daraja that allows those developers to interact with M-PESA. We're having forums and actually structured trainings that allow the developers to access capabilities, and we will continue to do that. And it's one of our commitments as we go to 2030.
We are a cashless mobile system. We buy product from farmers. M-PESA gives us the opportunity to have a cashless system set up. So that's why we decided to look at Daraja and tap into it.
And tomorrow? Tomorrow it becomes Africa's digital heartbeat. A super app, a gateway, a force breaking into new markets, new industries, new dreams. M-PESA walks with us all into a limitless future.
M-PESA at 18 is taking you to the next level and leveraging technology in a way that becomes seamless, easier than it has been in the past. And this is why through our super app, where we're able to connect not only individuals to businesses, but also bringing businesses up into our super app to allow them to showcase what products and solutions they have.
The platform that M-PESA provides to tap into their user base was a great opportunity for us. It gave us the independence to have more control on our brand and how we provide our services to the end user.
For me, it'll be great to see fintechs receiving $50 million, $100 million. I want to see 10 African unicorns, that's $1 billion company, riding on the rails of M-PESA.
Today, it is the language of trade, the currency of trust, the unseen backbone of a continent on the rise.
The agriculture product and fertilizer subsidy program in Kenya is one of the most successful in the history of Kenya in terms of, over $280 million has been paid through it by farmers in Kenya.
Nikilinganisha na wakulima wenzangu, mimi niko mbele yao, idea yangu inaonekana ni smart. Sasa wapita njia wanauliza hii mbolea imetoka wapi? Ninawaambia ni ya digital.
We will be your companion, closer than your parents, closer than your partner. We will be with you. We will be in every step of your day-to-day activities.
M-PESA, closer than family, closer than a partner.
Guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for those who are very active on our chat. Peter Chege, Peter Kirumba, Java Velocity, Script Guru, Eric SW, Meshak Cheriot, and the very many others that I haven't mentioned. So remember to check out Joseph on LinkedIn, tag Safaricom, tag Joseph. Let Safaricom know that Joseph is making an impact. Thank you so much for the love. Goodbye.